What's up, y'all? Good morning. Before I even start, do not be alarmed by the title. The title is what it is. Let me tell you something. I have been working in the field of, I guess, social work. I've been working as a peer specialist for 10 years. I had somewhat of what you might call a career change to case management over the past 2 months, going on three. But what I found about being a peer specialist and being a case manager, maybe a peer specialist in the way that it was originally intended to be. This is far from that. But being a modern day peer specialist requires a lot of case management work. So the last 3 years prior to joining this company, I was doing case management work anyways. This one is more intensive. I'll definitely give you that. It's more intensive, but it's not my first rodeo, is my point. So, on to what this client said to me. I was assisting this client. It was actually the second time I have ever met that person. When I first started the job, somebody else that was located further away from this person was coming to service their needs. And then they said, "You're closer, so you get this person." I said, "Okay, no problem. Whoever I get is whoever I get." I spoke to him one time. I met up with him one time. I can't give too many details about any of this, but just in a general sense, meeting was okay. Some things are a little bit iffy, but I was like, I can help you with this. So what ended up happening was the person ended up asking me to do something that was beyond my scope of service. If anyone knows about scope of service, there are things that you are allowed to do and there are things that you're not allowed to do within your job. So the thing about case management or social work specifically, if some people know about what social work is like or what casework is like, and even if you have not done that yourself, chances are at some point in time you've experienced that via somebody assisting you or a family member, a loved one, a friend that gets sick, or if you go to the hospital, somebody comes and speaks to you and says, "I'm your social worker." In this particular type of job, a lot of the people think social worker means God. Good morning, Lisa. And what I mean by that is we get this population. They have a lot of things going on. Physical health challenges, serious ones, a lot of them, serious mental health challenges. A lot of them are homeless. A lot of them are seeking food. They're trying to get their SNAP benefits. Um, there's just a lot of things going on with this population of people, and I understand that. But so you come in there, and your job as a coordinator is literally to coordinate care. And what that means is I'm not the one who places you in the house. Unfortunately, it's your state housing system. So what I can assist you with is putting in the application and helping you to follow up. Um, I can't get you off the streets. If I literally had somebody that was on the street, I could help get them into a homeless shelter so they would have a place to stay for the night. But it's not like there's a company that's just like, "Here, we got this house that people can come in." There's respite houses, but those are temporary. When they have their medical issues, we're not doctors. So what we're doing is we are just conferring with the doctors, helping them gather information, advocating for them if they don't agree with a certain type of treatment that they're getting. Matter of fact, I just did that for somebody. I spent probably a couple of hours in the hospital with one of my clients because They were like, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And the person had just had a stroke. And one, it was hard to understand them. But two, I've seen my dad in that type of vulnerable position where they're like, oh, we had to do this because it was required, because if we didn't do this, this would happen, and the person can't speak up for themselves. So that's why I went above and beyond for that particular person, because I was thinking back to that and I'm like, this person was not as bad as my dad mentally. Physically, yeah, but I could understand them. I was listening really good and just making sure to understand what they wanted, and they ended up stopping something that they were planning to just do and force to be done, and having a conference with all of these neurosurgeons, and then coming up with a solution that that person's spouse, and emergency contact, and the team was all in agreement with, which I was really happy about. But I digress. I say all that to say this particular person told me a couple of things. They told me that I ruined their life. Again, we met 2 times. I basically didn't do anything. I ruined their life in a sense of they had something going on in their life already, asked me for something that I would not and cannot give to somebody, within my job. And even if this was somebody outside of my job, I probably wouldn't do that either, unless this was some very close person to me. And I said no, and the no, and I said no in a nice way. I wasn't just like, no, I can't do that. I was like, unfortunately, that is not something that I am able to do, but I can assist you in this type of way. These are the things that I can do within my role. I'm sorry that has been your experience so far. And the response was, you know what, Mark? I hope that you get into your car to go home and you crash into a pole and die. And if you don't die, I hope that you at least know, I hope that you lose your home and know what it's like to live in a homeless shelter. And I was like, honestly, I'm not going to lie. I didn't feel too much when he said that. And it might sound strange, but I'm going to go back. When I first got into this field of mental health, that was about 2013. I was in there as a volunteer peer specialist. So this is going on my 11th year in the field. I remember the first year that I had in this field. I started working at a counseling center, and I remember that one day I was walking to the building and one of my clients saw me outside. He just yelled out. He was like, "Mark." I was like, "Hey, good morning." He was like, He yelled out a derogatory term to me. He called me a derogatory term. I was furious. And I thought maybe I didn't hear him right. So I said, "Sir, can you repeat what you just said? You are a blah, blah, blah." Stop listening to me, Siri. I said, "Sir." Siri, I said, "Sir, stop interrupting me."
I don't know what that means. If you like, I can search the web for Siri. I said, "Sir, stop interrupting me."
Anyways, I'm not going to say a comment that will get me canceled. Um, Siri, stop listening.
I can't help with that, but you can change it in settings.
Siri said she can't stop listening to me. Oh man, I really lost my train of thought. Yeah, so this person said, "Mark, you are a blankety blankety blank." And he repeated it. So I wanted to have an instant reaction, but I was like, you know what? I work here. It was recent that I had just started working there as a volunteer. So I said, I can't react the way that I want to react. So I went upstairs to speak to my supervisor. And I told my supervisor, I was standing outside and so said this. My supervisor had no reaction. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you do? I told him, don't talk to me like that or don't say that. Whatever it was light. And she was just like, she said, I've been working in this field for a lot of years. And I've developed a cold heart when it comes to being in this particular field. And the reason why is because when you get in this field, you start to deal with a population of people who have very serious issues, physical issues, mental and emotional issues, substance abuse. Some of them are coming from abusive homes. Some of them are having family problems, problems with their spouses, problems with their children. Some of them don't have anybody. They've ostracized themselves from all other people and they're lonely. So whatever baggage that they are bringing in, you are now representing somebody who looks to them like you have it all. You've got it made. Nothing is wrong with you. They come in and see you. You're dressed well for work. You might have on your work lanyard or you might have on your shirt and tie, and they come in there and they're like, this man or woman has it made. They drive in here every day to work and they have their nice clothes. They have money to go to the movies. They're able to maneuver in ways that I can't. So when I get in there, I'm just going to let them have it because, maybe that's going to make me feel better. And the truth is, there's truth to that, like it's not like I'm rich or it's not like I have so many things more than, the average person, but there's a whole population that has much less going on for them than what I have going on for me. So she told me that every time she comes in, she leaves the ego at the door and just reminds herself what these people are possibly going to come in there and say to you, and whatever energy they bring to you is not relating to something that you specifically did to them. So she said, if that one comment, this very early time, is something that is going to make you feel like you need to leave the field, then this field isn't for you. And boy, I was upset with this conversation because I was like, I feel like there's no sympathy here. I feel like I'm not being heard. I'm not being understood. Good morning, Penelope. I feel like I'm not being heard and I feel like I'm not being understood. I thought that I would get some sympathy, empathy even, and B, she would talk to the guy and be like, these kind of terms are not allowed. But that didn't happen. So I remember later on in that particular day, that same person came up to me and said, Mark, I want to talk to you for a minute. And I'm thinking, what could he want to talk about? He said to me, I wasn't really talking to you when I made that comment. And I said, who were you talking to? You definitely said my name. And he said, I was talking to the clouds. I said, you were talking to the clouds? Yeah, I was talking to the clouds. I laughed a little bit to myself mainly. And then he said, do you accept my apology? I said, sure, I accept your apology. That little exchange and conversation that happened behind it really set the tone for future years because I have heard all kinds of things in this field. I know that it looks like a glamorous, maybe glamorous is the wrong word, but you would think that if you are signed up to be in a field where you spend 8 hours a day helping people that are in very terrible situations. Like I said, physical health, mental health, housing, homelessness, substance abuse. You would think that that kind of population might be like, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all the work that you're putting in, helping me get to these doctors and making sure that I go to my AA appointments and helping me put in my housing applications, helping me get in my SNAP applications, helping me with getting my reduced fare Metro card. Like for anyone who doesn't live in New York, if you have a disability, you can get a lower fare bus pass to get on the bus. You would think that that's what we would experience. And I'm not going to say I never experience that, but I am going to say it's rare, or I am going to say it's 50-50. Sometimes I get someone who's just really grateful, and sometimes I get someone who just looks at me and they're upset, envious. Um, but the thing about me being a peer specialist is that I do understand that feeling because I have been on disability before. I have had food stamps before. I have had no money before. So I know where they're coming from to an extent. I mean, some of those issues are beyond me, but at least to an extent, I know where they're coming from. So now, a comment like this, if this was very early on in my career and not 12 years in, could have derailed me. I'm like, oh my goodness, a client hopes that I'm gonna die. What did I do? I'd be stressing over it. I'd be fretting over it. I'd be like, how did this happen? But with all the things that I've heard over the years and just what I know about the population I'm serving, when I clock in the morning, I am prepared for anything. I know that I can hear anything, I can see anything, I can experience anything. People can say, I'm grateful. People can say, I hate you, and anything in between. And I'm still going to do my job and I'm still going to keep moving because it's a thing about perspective. And when I signed up for this job, I know that the people that I am serving are going through a tremendous amount of difficulties. And by default, when they see you, the person who's coming to help them, they're not always just going to see this person is coming to help me. They're going to want you to be able to rescue them because a lot of them have not had anyone in their life to assist them with anything. So they're like, man, if you're, a famous line that they like to tell you is like, oh, you get paid because of me. You work for me because you get paid. If they don't realize, well, number one, if they were not on your list, they would quickly find somebody else on the list. There's so many people on Medicaid that have these issues that if that person wasn't there, they'd put somebody else there. Yes, we would get questions about why were you not able to retain them, but it's not like they're irreplaceable on our list. Um, the type of care that I give is not necessarily the type of care that everyone who does this gives because we have a checklist of things that we have to do. And all we have to do is complete these things and make the paperwork look appropriate for what the state or the government needs to keep providing the money. I go above and beyond for most, except for the ones that are just really nasty. But for most of them, I go really above and beyond. And they're not really going to know that. I don't really expect them to. But there's a process of emptying that I go through when I walk through the door, when I clock in, where I'm like, there's my life, which is before I clock in and after I clock in. And there's my work, which is between these hours. Between these hours, different things happen than what would happen in my everyday. And I accept that. And I'm okay with that. And quite honestly, when he said that to me, I felt bad for him because I don't really think that he literally meant this is what I want to happen to you. I just feel like he's down on his luck and he's just like, looking at me and saying, you got it made because of the things you have. You don't live in a shelter. You're able to get yourself where you want to go whenever you want to go there. Like you don't have to deal with all these different physical complications that I'm dealing with. You don't have to deal with this. You got family, you got whatever he's thinking. I mean, some of those things are true, some of them are partially true, but whatever the case is, yes, I'm not in his position, so I get it. So I didn't feel upset. Like I said, I felt bad for the guy. But to relate this to anyone else who's not in this particular field, if you ever receive an energy that doesn't match something that you have done to somebody, realize that that was not addressed to you. It might have gotten into your mailbox, but the original destination came from somewhere else, and you're just a place where it landed. So always have some perspective. And if you get certain comments, energy, whatever it is, think about where it's coming from and why. And don't hold it if it is not meant for you. And that's it. So I hope everyone has a great one. I got things to do, but I like doing these morning lives as much as I can because this is the time that I have the most time. So please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank you.